Hi and welcome to another narration presented by yours truly, Cryptids Roost. Please be so kind as to throat punch the like button and smack the ass of the subscription button as well. And remember to tap that notification bell and then select all. That way you'll receive all notifications each time I upload a new video. So grab your coffee, sit back and enjoy the show. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not. Souls Like Part 1. This awesome series is written by cesly1987, a brilliant author over on Reddit.
Do you believe in video games, Terence?
The devil asked as he sat perched atop the podium. I held my wife's dead body in my arms. Tears streamed from my face and her blood covered my bare chest. I looked up with a mixture of hate and incredulity. What? The devil stared back intently. In an instant, he flashed from the podium to appear 2 feet in front of me, kneeling over to look me in the eyes.
You have to be a gamer. What are you, a white male in your mid-20s? You're the target demographic.
The devil stood straight and adjusted his pinstripe suit.
Regardless, let me tell you the rules, my boy.
I looked around me desperately, trying to find an exit to escape with my wife. I realised the chapel around me had vanished. Only a thick, dark fog surrounded us. The only thing I could see clearly was the podium and the well-dressed devil.
Dark Souls. Ah yes, a game for 2 patrons of the arts. You know of it?
The devil noticed I wasn't paying attention and flicked his hand at me. An unseen force jerked my head around to look at him. Yes, I've seen videos of it online, I stammered fearfully. The devil's dirty yellow eyes stared back at me. Then he smiled, showing his sharpened teeth.
Good, but let me explain how the game works, just for transparency's sake.
The devil walked back behind the podium, like he was about to give a lecture.
Dying repeatedly is a main gameplay mechanic in Dark Souls.
The devil spoke in a monotonous tone while combing his hair around his horns.
Your character revives, hopefully having gained knowledge of how to be a better player. Hopefully you learn from your mistakes as you traverse back into the abyss. Every path you open stays open, every item you find you keep after death. But dying causes all of your enemies you killed to return to life also. Do you understand?
Yes, I mumbled. I still couldn't turn my head to look away from him. Why was one of hell's minions giving me a breakdown on a video game?
Good. The thing I most enjoy about the game is its lack of hand-holding. So for now, all you get is this.
He walked over to me and produced a large scarlet red key from his pocket.
Only this key will unlock the outside gate. Unlocking the gate is the only way to stop the cycle from resetting. The only way to free yourself.
Devil let out a sigh and returned the key to his pocket.
That's enough for now. Do better this time, will you?
He made a go away gesture with his hand, and I felt myself falling. Me and my dying wife tumbled into infinite blackness. The podium and the devil raced away from us. An immense heat enveloped me and I cried out in pain. I awoke in the dark basement, the same one I had just left. My mind was foggy, like I had been drugged. I looked to my side and saw my wife lying there naked beside me. It was a serious case of deja vu. I had just been here. Me and my wife had awoken in this basement. We had just travelled up the stairs. That's where the man in a robe attacked me. I looked down at myself. Something was different now. I had pants. The first time I was naked like my wife. I had taken the pants from the robed man after he fell down the basement stairway. My wife had found a blue tarp to cover herself the first time. It was quickly abandoned for being too noisy to sneak with. I reached over to shake her. Jenny, wake up! Wait, Jenny had been stabbed, hadn't she? I launched myself over next to her. I rolled her over to inspect her injury. Nothing was there. No deep wound from the knife. She was fine. Terry? She spoke groggily. Her eyes fluttered open and she sat up to look around. Where are we? We are back in the basement. That thing brought us back here. What thing? She asked. She quickly realised she was naked and covered herself with her arms. She looked to her side to see a ratty blue tarp hanging over some junk. She snatched it and pulled it around herself. "What is going on here?" she gasped. I stared around her for a moment before asking in a measured voice, "What do you remember last?" Jenny blinked. I could see the cogs beginning to turn in her head. "We were at Michael and David's wedding rehearsal." She squinted and tilted her head. "We were walking to our car. You had to park in a different parking lot away from the venue." She paused. "I don't remember getting to the car." I waited for her to continue, but she just looked around the dusty basement. "That's it?" I asked. "You don't remember waking up down here? You don't remember that asshole who attacked us and fell down the stairs? You don't remember the devil stabbing you and giving me a speech about video games?" "No, babe," she replied. She gave me the look and tone she routinely used when she thought I was overreacting. "We've never been here before. Are you okay? What was going on?" "The horned bastard said something about a cycle resetting. Had he reversed time?" "No, it couldn't be. He drugged us somehow and threw us back down here." "But how did Jenny's stab wound disappear?" "Come on," I said as I grabbed Jenny by the hand. I pulled her towards the stairs, her blue tarp crinkling loudly. We carefully went up the stairs and I opened the door slowly. The same wood-panelled hallway greeted me. It smelled of old wood and mould. The short hallway stretched on 10 feet before turning to the left. That's where I had run into the big man in the robe last time. I told Jen to wait and I crept down the hall to peek around the corner. There he was, again. The same big guy with an ugly face and crazy eyes. He even screamed the same damn thing. "Your blood will flow eternal!" he screamed as he rushed me. I retreated back down the hallway. It had to be his twin or something. I didn't struggle with him like I did the first time. I would set him up for the same move I used on him before. There is no way he would be that stupid to fall for it again. I scampered back to the doorway by the stairs. Jen screamed and flattened herself against the wall. The idiot came barreling at me at full sprint. I caught his momentum, crossed my leg and performed a textbook hip toss. His speed and weight caused him to become airborne before cracking hard on his head halfway down the steps and tumbled the rest of the way. He lay very dead at the bottom, his leg twitching a little. Jen screamed louder and I stood dumbfounded. The idiot didn't remember. I had killed him the exact same way the first time. I had fought him for longer, trying to wrestle him to the ground, before I realised I was about to be pushed down the steep stairs. It was a cycle. Time had repeated. I finally calmed down Jenny to follow me back down the hall. We turned the corner to enter a waiting room or foyer for the chapel. 2 large double doors led further in. Opposite of it were the doors leading outside. Jenny went to open the exit doors and I stopped her. "Don't bother," I said. "It requires a green key to unlock." I felt like I was going to throw up. Like a video game, I spat. Like before, our only option was to go deeper into the chapel. I told Jenny to wait outside. She did get stabbed the last time. I opened the double doors slowly. A familiar sight greeted me. A small windowless chapel, dark drapes hung from all 4 walls. Strange symbols and writing were spray painted all over them. Looking too long at these symbols made my head hurt and my vision blur. 3 short pews on either side of the aisle. At the end of the aisle were 2 robed men, kneeling and praying to the podium. These are the assholes who held me down while that devil stabbed my wife in the belly. She didn't even act like she saw him when he was upon her to kill her. He just walked up and stuck her while she screamed at the men to let me go. "Not this time," I said to myself as I scanned the room for something to use as a weapon. I saw a small box at the corner to my right. Wait, no way. It was a chest, like a treasure chest. I snuck over to it. The 2 men continued low mumbling prayers. I placed my hands on both sides of the ornate chest. More crazy symbols were carved into its wood. I opened it slowly while leaning away. I've played my fair share of games with booby-trapped chests. When I finally looked in, I almost laughed. Nestled within red soft felt fabric was a short flintlock pistol. I picked it up. It felt heavy and was already cocked back. The grains of what I assumed was black gunpowder sprinkled out to the side of the gun. I had seen movies where soldiers and pirates manipulated the weapon. That didn't make me an expert, but I hoped it was all set to fire. I realised the praying had stopped. I looked over to see the two men standing and looking for me. Looking up put me in the view of one of the cultists. He saw me and gave a short scream. Instead of running down the aisle and turning, he was going to be a Pentecostal and jumped the pews to come straight for me. As he got to the last pew, all I could see was the crazy in his eyes. He was coiled like a spring to jump at me when I levelled the pistol and fired. A blast of smoke and noise rocketed my senses, followed by a loud thump. While my vision cleared, the man had toppled off sideways to land headfirst in a crumpled pile beside me. I didn't have time to think as the other man was on me instantly, screaming and swiping at me with a small knife. I held my arms, elbows outwards, to defend myself. I felt quick slashes across my arms. As he got closer, he reared back to stab me in the gut. I whacked him across the head with the barrel of the pistol. It was a heavy smack that stumbled him backwards. As he looked at me, trying to regain focus, I saw red lines of blood begin running down his face. He screamed again and came in with the lunge. That's when I saw Jenny knocked him in the ribs from behind with a bat. He stumbled sideways into the pew and dropped the knife. He was bent over and barely holding himself up with his hands. I launched in to deliver a tremendous elbow to the side of his head, laying him out on the stone floor. I looked up at Jen. She had dropped the tarp to help me. Now she stood there terrified and naked, cradling the bat. "Where did you get the bat?" I asked. "On the opposite side of the room. It was just lying on a table," she replied. Then her eyes widened. "You're bleeding." "It's nothing," I said as I moved to pick up her tarp. I ripped off a strip to wrap around my forearms. She covered herself again and followed me to the podium up at the front. "If I know video games, there is something important here," I said as I walked around it. I kneeled closer to look at a small wooden box carved with the same head-throbbing symbols. I opened it and let out a laugh. It was an ornate green key. "Come on," I said as I snatched the key and marched back down the aisle to the foyer. Jenny crinkled noisily behind me with her tarp. When I got to the double doors, the ornate key slid in smoothly. "We are making progress," I said, looking back at Jenny. "We need to find you some clothes next." Jenny's face filled with terror as I felt the door being ripped open. I looked back to be staring at someone's well-muscled chest. I looked up to see a face shrouded with clear plastic tarp, a rope tied tightly around the thing's neck. Fog from the thing's breath sucked the bag in and out. I tried to step back from the giant. He swung down on me with a meat cleaver, biting into the side of my neck. He then grabbed me by the head and launched me outside past him. I flew out the small front porch to land face first in the dirt. I tried to get up, but didn't have the strength to push myself up. I could see my lifeblood pooling out before me. I heard a scream as Jenny landed on the ground in front of me. I reached out to her and her to me. The giant stomped over to tower over Jenny. I tried to call her name, but only gurgled out blood. The cleaver came down to bury itself in her head. Her eyes bulged and she shook slightly. Then everything paused. Jenny froze in her spasms, and the giant froze, bent over. My pain stopped and I realised I was no longer choking. A pair of shiny dress shoes walked to stand in front of me.
"Get up,"
said the devil as he looked down on me, disappointed. I sat up and stared at my wife.
"Don't worry about her, you dunce. She will be alive the next cycle,"
the devil said with exasperation.
"I need to tell you about this giant that just killed you both."
He waved both hands over to the leaning giant.
"Every time you reset the cycle, nobody will remember a thing. except for your nemesis here. He will remember everything and will be able to hunt you through every cycle.
I stared in awe at the muscled giant with a plastic bag over his head. How unfair could this get? Fighting to save both of us was already hard enough.
I know I'm pulling from other games, but I love the concept of an arch-enemy.
The devil prattled on.
If you want the game to stop, you can either escape or pledge your soul to me,
he offered. Never, you freak, I yelled back. I'll beat your game. The devil sighed.
Then do better this time, will you?
He snapped his fingers and the world went blank. I woke up back in the basement, feeling like I had been drugged. Don't forget, if you enjoyed that story, be sure to pop over to the author's Reddit profile and drop them a line, or even give them a glowing review. I'm sure they really would appreciate it. The link to their Reddit profile will be below in the description. Please be so kind as to throat punch the like button and smack the ass of the subscription button as well. And remember to tap the notification bell and then select all. That way you'll receive all notifications each time I upload a new video. Oh, and don't forget to share the video far and wide. This will all help with YouTube's algorithm and will help to promote this channel more. And don't forget to check out the merch store. The link will be in the description and also in the video thumbnail. And if you would like an honourable mention, send in a snapshot of yourself with your purchase and I'll feature it in one of the videos. I now have my very own subreddit community where you can submit any stories you've written. You can submit your stories or encounters either there or send them to cryptidsroost@gmail.com. If you wish to remain anonymous, that's fine with me. All the links are below. I also have a Facebook group, Twitter, Reddit, and you'll also find me on Discord. If you would like to support this channel and help make it grow, my PayPal is paypal.me/cryptidsroost. Again, that will also be below. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not.